keynote speaker for today. Toby Goodman is the founder of the career consulting and training firm, The Job Hunter, and has been successfully providing personal and group programs in career advancement and job satisfaction since 2013. Thanks to his direct coaching and development of attention-grabbing resumes, LinkedIn profiles, and cover letters, his clients have landed amazing jobs at the nation's top companies, including Apple, Google, Amazon, Tesla, Workday, Salesforce, Qualcomm, Intuit. Should I keep going, man?
Please don't.
Designated among others. So please give a warm welcome to Kobe Goodman.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's give it up one more time for Claude and Riley and the rest of the Tech Hub team. So job searching. It's a lot of why we're here today. There's a lot of emotions that go with job searching. I think we can all collectively agree on this one. It sucks. It is the worst. It takes up too much time, requires too much rejection. You feel like you're spinning your wheels and you don't know where to start. Right? It's exhausting. You know why? I know you all know why, but ultimately it's this. Every day you are practicing radical vulnerability. Every time you click submit on an application, every time you put on your best suit and tie and walk into that interview room, every time you log into that next Zoom meeting, this is what you're practicing. And it's exhausting. Especially exhausting when you do this all day and you put your heart out there, you put your soul out there, you put your expertise out there, and it gets rejected over and over and over again. And it's not crazy to think the phrase, am I broken? Is there something wrong with me? Right? Am I a lost cause? Am I unlucky? Is this going to last forever? What's wrong? All these things are absolutely understandable and expected to go through your head as you are in transition. And if these things are not going through your head, I would have you check your own pulse. Okay? This is human. This is natural. This is expected. But we all know staying in this place is not helpful. And that's what we're going to do today, is to help you get out of this space, to help you reclaim your excitement and your confidence and your ability to go out there and do the work that you're supposed to do. Over the last 10 years, I've been very lucky enough to work with 3,500 professionals, do over 250 plus of these kind of events. And time again, this is what the people come to me. This is what they experience, right? They have false start after false start, false hope after false hope. They Google and they research and they watch YouTube and they ask their friends and they talk to their colleagues and they think they're doing best practices, but it's still not working. Hope is going down, stress is going up, and they end up settling. They're overworked, they're underpaid, they're undervalued. And none of you deserve that. Nobody on this earth deserves that. So let's change that, right? Because in helping all these people to go to these great companies, and I don't put up these here to brag about myself, because I don't do the work. I help people get to be themselves to do the work. But what they learned is that they didn't need any of this stuff. You don't need more experience. You don't need more education. You don't need more expertise. You definitely don't need more certs, and you don't need more skills. How you walked into this room today is all you need to succeed in this process, okay? Why? Because you are not broken. It's really easy to feel like that because you're told that over and over again. Thank you, but no thank you. Found somebody else. We went with an internal candidate, yada, yada, yada. And since you live in your head 24/7, 365, you look in the mirror and this is what you think. Again, understandable. But it's not the truth. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. We just get to help you shift. We want to help you shift your mindset. It's a lot easier to change your mind than it is to change your career or to change your education or your skill set. That's what we're here to do today, is to help you shift, to help you make a purposeful move in the way that you look at work, the way you look at communicating about yourself and engaging about who you want to be with next in your career to get where you want to go. Today, we're going to help you get unstuck. We're going to help you regain that confidence. We're going to help you better connect with those important decision makers that you guys are trying to wow and woo every day. We're going to help you distance yourself beyond your competition, beyond the other 9,500 people who are exactly in your spots that you are today. We're going to help you take back control in a process that feels very helpless and hopeless, and it's easy to feel the victim in. And lastly, I want to help you get excited. Who's ready to do all this today? Because you deserve to have a career that you love, driven by future opportunities that allow you to secure a work-life balance and make the money that you deserve. This should be, the UN needs to pass this resolution, honestly. You've worked too hard for too long. You've sacrificed too much to settle. So we're going to make sure you guys don't do that here today. I want to help you guys evolve beyond the average candidate mindset. What we're going to talk about here is what we've been taught since the first time you ever wrote a resume, the first time you ever thought about applying for a job. Right? Myself, it was the pizza place down the street. For you, it might have been the Gap, or maybe you had a paper route, or maybe you worked at the ice cream shop, right? But as we start our careers and we think about what we do and how we do it, it's very action-driven. It's very basic action-driven. And unfortunately, that mindset doesn't evolve with us as our roles get more complicated, as our impact grows, and as our expertise blossoms. Because really what a lot of people doing, and maybe some of you in here admit to doing this as well, is that your application process, your interview process is you shouting into the ether, I'm qualified. I check all your boxes. I'm the one that can do the job. You should hire me. Now the problem with this approach is that it's not just you screaming into that ether. It's 20 other people, 50 other people, 200 other people, 500 other people who are applying for that same role that are all yelling at the same time. And so at that point, it's just noise, right? And it is noise that is hard to differentiate, right? You meet the requirements. You have the right responsibilities. You have the right time in the industry or your expertise. You even have the technical competencies. But if you check all the boxes that everybody else is checking and are saying how you check those boxes in the same way, all you're doing at that point is you're playing the job lottery. It's a raffle, for goodness sakes. You're throwing your name in the hat and praying to God that you get picked. That's not fair to you. It's definitely not fair to your employer. And it's not a repeatable success process for you. Because this is what happens, right? Hundreds of applications, minimal responses, right? And we go back to that stress and that anxiety and that settling, which we want to avoid, right? And how I want to help you make this shift here today is with something here in San Diego. We don't get to use that often. We use it a lot more this year than we have maybe ever in the time that I've lived here, but it's the trusty old umbrella, okay? Can you guys shout out some things that you see or know about this umbrella? Protection, okay. Safety net, okay. Shelter. Adjustability. Handle, right? Some of you jumped ahead, which I appreciate. But ultimately, what tends to happen is that if you are this umbrella and you're trying to sell yourself to that person who wants the umbrella, a lot of people in here may be victim of selling you based on just those core features, right? Well, it has this nice handle and it's made out of carbon fiber. It's adjustable. It goes from 1 foot to 4 foot, right? It's made out of, space age technology. But do any of us really care in the long run? Does it motivate us to actually buy this thing? When you need an umbrella, why do you need the umbrella? Why do you need to buy it this very moment? It's raining. You have a problem, right? You need that problem solved fast. And you're willing to pay top dollar to the nearest person to get that solution. And that's the shift I want to help you guys make today. Right? Previously, you may have been telling those important decision makers what you can do for them. I want to help you elevate that communication and help them understand how you can be their most impactful problem solver. It's very straightforward consumer behavior. We tend to make purchasing decisions because they solve a problem. That includes you as an asset to the organization, as their next expert in that field. Not simply to do your job, but to solve an important problem. Because I want you to go from thinking, I'm qualified, to I can solve your next important problems, Mr. and Mrs. Manager, to I bring the most value while I solve those problems. That's how you're going to get the right people's attention. Because there are too many people that do this. Qualifications are a dime a dozen. Education now is cheapest and most accessible in the history of mankind. Qualifications in a vacuum don't really mean much. But if you can apply those qualifications, your expertise, your experience, to solve the important problems, great, you're at step 2. Now to get to step 3, you gotta make sure that those problems have value and impact. The higher this is, the value and the impact, the better. And if you're the one that brings the most value and the most impact, that you win the game. Because good companies do not hire average candidates. They can't afford to. They don't have the time, they don't have the resources, they don't have the patience. But they do hire impactful problem solvers. And luckily, all of you here are already this. You may not think it right now, you may not be thinking like it in this way before, but it's true. So let's figure out how you can go to your next employer and say, as your ideal problem solver, I bring the most value and impact, and let's talk more about how and why. What I'm going to go through next is a 4-step system about how you can leverage value additive communication. This is important, right? Because we need to speak to who your next decision maker is, what they care about, what they need, what they want, and what they want out of this relationship and transaction. Because if all you're talking about is what you can do, your skill sets, your abilities, your experience in a vacuum, and it's not applicable to them, it's going to fall on deaf ears, and you're going to continue going down the roller coaster of dozens, if not hundreds of more applications. We want you to, and I want to help you break that cycle here. EPPI. Okay, easy acronym. It stands for empathy, positioning, proof, and impact. This is your 4-step way on how to be different than your competition, to resonate with that decision maker, and to give yourself the best chance, not only at getting the job, but also maximizing your earner potential. Empathy. Right, I think there was an old quote by Theodore Roosevelt, it was, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So do not go into this process as a bull in the china shop. You don't know more or better than the person. But it's your job to be human in this process and to develop empathy, right? Before you can solve a problem, you have to be able to fully understand it. Next, let's get to the root of that problem and how that problem is impacting the person, right? How is it providing pain points? How is it, causing issues? How is it causing them to miss opportunities? Understand why things have not worked before and why. Do your due diligence. And lastly, understand what is the most important thing now. Because I could sell you an umbrella today, right? But what you probably really need is sunscreen. You'll need an umbrella eventually, but you don't care about that today. So make sure that these problems are first and foremost centered on today and the near future. Next is positioning, okay? It's your job here to assert yourself as that best problem solver. Why you're the one who can come in and relieve those important pain points. Now that comes in a myriad of things. It could be your unique mindset and perspective, right? Where you grew up, your upbringing, your college, your tragedies, your triumphs, everything in between. That's a life experience is extremely valuable. Next is a rare combination of experience. The more that you have in your Venn diagram of skill sets, the smaller that sliver is in the middle that overlaps, and that's where you become that's where you give yourself an unfair advantage in the marketplace. If you're a coder and a marketer, right? If you're a salesperson, but you're also no operations, right? Figure out what your skill set circles are, overlap all of them, and carve out a niche for yourself. A niche that will be extremely hard to replicate by those 95 other local unemployed technologists that are here in San Diego. And lastly, of course, skill set training education, experience, longevity, all that's extremely important, but it should come last, right? These top 3 things are what's going to move the needle for you and differentiate you versus anybody else. And next is proof, right? So you got to put the rubber to the road, you got to put your money where your mouth is, cliche after cliche after cliche, right? So you have to provide specific examples of success, right? A lot here comes with you gaining perspective. Because what happens here, and I'm going to speak on this here a lot, is that you guys are all experts. It may not feel like it, but you are. You know about the thing that you know and love about, you know more than 99% of the population. But because you're that 1%, because you're always thriving and learning and trying to push yourself, you think that you're an amateur, which is not the truth. And so if you're if you're trying to figure out, well, what am I really good at? When did I have, and where did I have successes? Go to the people around you. Go to your former coworkers, go to your former bosses, clients, customers, et cetera. Go to the people around you who give you perspective that'll help build up these deliverables, right? Build up your resume, build up how you talk about yourself in an interview, and build up a team of advocates for you who will not only help you in the reference check, but will help you cut the line somewhere, give you an inside track, make you an introduction, connect you. And lastly, we want to make sure that we close with the exclamation point of impact. Right? And there are two types of impact. And obviously, we know the physical ones, right? And in any for-profit business, usually value and impact is measured in one of four ways. How an asset, which would be labor, which would be you guys, makes a company money, can help lower costs, can save the company's time, or to limit the company's risk or exposure. Right? You guys have done a majority, if not all of these, throughout your career. Do your best to try to quantify that and qualify that as much as you can, because numbers are the universal language. But the thing, even the most seasoned interviewer, the most successful careerist that you know, tends to forget about is this last part here, the intangible impact that you can make. Because what a lot of people tend to forget in an interview is that you are just trying to get yes from one person after the next person after the next person. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to invent the next, FANG company, main company, right? You just have to resonate and make an impact on that one person. And we as people, we're pretty straightforward, right? We just want somebody to relieve our pain. Maybe we'll enhance some joy. Maybe we'll get excited. Maybe we'll be inspired. And if you can make, on top of allowing somebody to understand what is the monetary impact of you, if you get somebody to have a feeling about you, to connect with you on a human-to-human level in that conversation, heck, even reading your resume or your cover letter, that's how you're going to blow out your competition. So remember, empathy, positioning, proof, and impact. Go in that order too, because again, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Now, admittedly, this is a little bit of a new approach that some of you may be used to. Right? It's definitely way different than when we wrote about, filled out that first application at Subway when we were 16. Right? And you're going to get some pushback, right? Now, there might be some pushback externally, right? When you go and you try to be curious, or you try to be empathetic, or you try to build a connection in the interview room, and that person isn't giving it to you. They're tight-lipped, right? Or they only want to stay on the surface, or they're just looking for a robot. That's a great sign for you to walk away, because you don't want to go in there simply being a coding robot, or a sales robot, or an ops robot. Or you want to be the critically thinking human being who's there to solve interesting problems. Okay? Now the other part of this is internally, right? Imposter syndrome pops up so much here, right? How many of you have experienced that in your life, heck, even in this job search, right? Do I know what I'm doing actually? How long until somebody figures out I'm just making this up as I go along? Secret, spoiler alert, we're all making it up as we go along, okay? So you're gonna have to process these. And I'm not a huge fan, and I would never advocate for somebody to fake it until they make it. Usually when you fake it until you make it, the things that you faked or that you're tamping down tend to come up at the exact wrong time, okay? So don't fake anything. Don't ignore these feelings, right? The feelings of imposterism, right? Process them. Why do I feel like this? Journal, talk to a friend, talk to a spouse, get it up and out. Because what you'll realize, and what I realize every time I encounter this, is that I'm just being crazy. Just being a little bit crazy. And really, the imposter syndrome comes from a place where the caveman parts of our brain, the amygdala right in the back here, the fight or flight mechanism, is trying to keep you in your comfort zone. When you push yourself, when you try to go for that reach job, when you are gonna be vulnerable in that interview room, whether it's in front of a screen, a person, or a panel of people, your brain wants you to stay safe. But say, thank you, brain, I appreciate that, but I'm gonna do this anyways. Okay? The other thing too is that you cannot be looking for validation. I think that's a big thing, right? This happens a lot when people look at a job description and say, well, I don't qualify. This isn't worth it. You're looking to check boxes still. You're looking to be validated by texts on a screen, written probably by an HR person, if we're lucky, 15 to 20 years ago, right? So don't look for validation. You're never gonna find validation in the places that you need it, okay? And so before I thank you for your time and kind of get you into our last big takeaway, I wanna ask one small favor, one 6-second favor, all of you here. If you guys could take out your phones, scan this QR code here, and type in SDTH for San Diego Tech Hub. It's going to be about a 1-minute survey. Kind of help me understand how I did today, how I can help you moving forward, gives me some feedback so I can improve on these here moving forward. And basically what I'm asking you is the thing that you're probably not getting after each interview, which is, can you tell me how I did? I really appreciate that. I'll give you guys a minute here. We'll wrap and we'll send you guys on through the rest of the programming. When you guys are done, you can just look up, and when I get enough of you making eyes with me, we'll wrap up. I appreciate that. I'll put this back up here at the end. I'll also be here later today, but I want to wrap up here so it's 2 o'clock on the dot, and I want to make sure you guys get out of here on time. So my last big takeaway for you all today is, yes, we've helped you hopefully shift your mindset, right? And we've helped you kind of look at yourself a little bit different, more effectively, hopefully with more confidence and more self-compassion. But what we've also done today here is put in play a power shift, right? Because when we go through this process, like we talked about before, you feel little, you feel nothing, you feel like a number. And the analogy I always use is you feel like the little brother whose big brother is just holding that basketball just out of reach, and you're swiping and you're swiping and you're swiping, and you're not getting it, right? So what this mindset shift does for you, what this practice does for you, is that it evens the statuses in this process. Instead of being boss or company and candidate, we're now shifting. Right? Because after today, I no longer want you guys simply to put yourself out there as experienced professionals looking for a job. There are 9,500 other people right here in San Diego doing the exact same thing. So let's be a little bit different. You are now expert problem solvers seeking out the right problems to solve. This mindset shift I guarantee you, will cut down your job search time, will improve your success rate, will get you connected with the right people and the right leadership, and ensure that this next position is a step up versus a step down or one to the side. Okay. Again, I really appreciate all of you guys coming up today. I am super excited for the rest of the programming here today. You have another 2+ hours of experts here that I've talked to nearly all of you, and I'm really excited about the tangible, actionable things that you're going to be able to walk away with here today. I'll be in the career fair here, so if you guys want to come up and talk to me more about your career, if you guys need some help, I'm a professional career consultant helping individuals just like you over the last decade. I appreciate you being radically vulnerable with me here today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys here around for the rest of the conference.